Hello to another episode of Chats with Chappers. Today we're with the very talented Luminary _ SEC. How
Hello,
you doing
everyone.
today, Lumi?
I'm doing great, thank you. How are you today?
I'm good, thank you. Good, thank you. Thank you for asking.
Good.
Thank you for asking. So welcome. Thank you for appearing on this
Thank you for having me.
Anytime. Could you just tell our lovely viewers a little bit about yourself? If that's okay.
Yeah, hi everyone, I'm Lumi. I'm a variety streamer. I've been streaming for just over 7 months now, and it's been a really nice experience, to be fair. I never thought it'd be something I'd get into, but it's been fun, and I couldn't imagine myself not doing it anymore. And I tend to stream Mondays, Wednesdays, Fridays, the occasional Sunday, but yeah, it's really, really great to be here and prepared for a grilling.
Don't worry, I'm not gonna grill you that badly. It's all good. that's like a quite cool thing to say though, saying that you couldn't imagine yourself not doing it anymore. Like I kind of feel sort of the same, I guess. Like I know there probably will be a time that I'd stop it, but I kind of regret. Like one of my biggest regrets is not starting it sooner. Is that sort of similar for you? Do you wish you had started it sooner?
Yeah, definitely. And if I'm candid about it, like a few years ago, when I was first kind of introduced to the world of streaming, I didn't get it. I was like, well, why not just buy the game, like, and play it yourself, right, as opposed to watching someone. And I initially was very critical of it, but after spending time like watching streamers since then, and obviously getting into it myself, it has become a very important part of my life. This is my hobby now, and everyone needs a hobby, and it's something that I would be very, very reticent to give up. But yeah, it's weird though how I started with a very critical view of it, and now I'm incredibly defensive of it because of my experiences with it.
Yeah, I get what you mean. I totally get what you mean. I guess I was kind of similar in a way. I used to just watch not so much live streams, but people on YouTube who would post like clips of, that they had recorded, and on something, and like FIFA clips, for example.
Oh yeah.
And I was kind of a bit like, yeah, this is quite cool, but how are these people like making so much money off of it, type thing, like. And now I get why.
Yeah, it's the thing is, like, what I came to realize is it's not about the game at all. Like that's the background filler when it comes to streaming. Really, you go to watch someone play because they're an entertainer,
Yeah.
and you're viewing it through the lens of someone playing a game. When in actuality, it's a talk show. In most cases.
Yeah, very true. Very, very true. I like that analogy. I like that. So you kind of touched there on how you like first came across streaming. So what made you want to start, and how did you start streaming?
So, when lockdown happened last year, it was like a couple of weeks into lockdown, the Final Fantasy VII remake came out, and I just sat there the whole weekend and I binged it top to bottom. Absolutely wonderful game. And then when I was finished, I was eager for some more Final Fantasy. So a very close friend of mine and me decided to start playing through Final Fantasy 14. And within about a month and a half, we racked up about 150 hours in the game of solid
Wow.
playtime. Yeah, it's crazy. There was absolutely nothing to do at the start of lockdown, and I was like, well, I'm doing this like every day for at least 2 hours, at least 2-3 hours. Why not see if I can put that on a platform and share my interest of Final Fantasy, my interest of gaming with other people? Incidentally, I've played Final Fantasy 14 on stream about 3 times since I started, and no more.
Nice.
So it's very much gone to the back of the list. But it was the jumping block for me, just spending so much time sitting in front of a screen dedicated to to gaming and a single game. I was like, well, maybe I can share this passion with other people.
Awesome. That's a pretty cool story. I think it's pretty much just the same for most people. I think like not the Final Fantasy part for me, but having, you know, so much spare time, not being able to go out, like, as crappy as like COVID is, I don't think I would have started streaming without it. Which is kind of weird to think about in a way. I don't know if like me personally would have actually taken the plunge a bit. Would you say the same for you, or would you have started regardless? Do you reckon?
It's no, I don't think. If I'm honest, I don't think I would have. It's really weird. Like, and um, as an example, years and years and years ago, I had a job that absolutely sucked, but I can never regret the job because I met my wife through that job, and I feel that that kind of applies to this situation. As much as COVID sucks, and as much as it has horrified people, it gave me streaming.
Yeah.
And so, as bad as it is, there will always be a small silver lining to it. Very small in comparison to what the COVID-19 pandemic was. But yeah, it's one of those things. Without it, this wouldn't be happening. I'd still be sitting in an office from 9 to 5 each day, and you know, doing not much with the little time I've got free. But this is yeah, it's really interesting how things like that come about, I think.
Yeah, it's a bit strange kind of in a way, but I don't know. I'm kind of a believer of like things happen for a reason, kind of being a bit philosophical, I guess. um, and that was definitely the case for me, I think, with my job and streaming and COVID. So yeah, it's weird to think about that. So we mentioned at the start as well that you've been streaming for over 7 months now. Is that right?
Yeah. So I started on the 27th of June. And so, yeah, it's really been, a little blip in the water compared to how long some other people have been streaming for. But it's been a wonderful ride so far. It's probably the best way to describe it.
Do you have a favourite moment of your journey so far, or a proudest moment, like something
Oh,
happened that you're super proud of?
something I'm super proud. I mean, aside from this, I don't know. So coming up on my 6 months, I did like a quiz series, and that was partly in thanks to another streamer called THP Peridian, who ran quizzes himself. Very talented guy. If you haven't checked him out, check him out.
Agreed.
And and yeah, so he was doing them, and then his quiz series finished, and I wanted a way to thank people for my 6 months as a streamer, and I thought, what better way to do that than to have a quiz amongst the regulars. I was very reticent to just do a giveaway that was like follow, because if you go to that and you randomize it, it could well be someone that had come and followed purely for the sake of the giveaway. And I know that sounds really, really harsh, and it presents me in a bad light, but
not at all.
I was much more invested in giving back to the people that had given their time to me over that time. So we did 5 weeks each Sunday night, and it was just absolutely fantastic. Like we had a great laugh doing it. People were really getting competitive and involved in it, and it was just fantastic. I think they will return probably around the 12-month mark, but yeah, I'd probably say that was my proudest moment, because it was a different ball game for me. Up until then, the only thing I had done was gaming streams, so I'd always had that game on screen, and if people, if there were a few minutes of dead air, I'd be able to be like, oh, look what's happening in the game. But this was pure talk. This was a day of preparation prior to the quiz, and I was going out there and just talking for 2 to 3 hours a night. And I'm proud of myself because of that. I don't think that I would particularly be a great just chatter, because there are some absolutely wonderful streamers out there that can do it. I just don't think that I could pull it off. But it was very surprising, and it was at that point, I knew from a very early point on that I wanted to keep doing this for as long as I possibly could. When we got to around that series, that I was like, yeah, I'm so happy that I tore that band-aid off and started doing this, because it just felt so gratifying that I'd taken a risk and it had seemed to pay off, because people were enjoying the content and sharing their experiences as well.
I guess also that this could link quite well to it, but do you think is the most important lesson that you've learned from your time in streaming? Like, what would you kind of do differently now if you were first starting off again?
It's a very, very interesting question. And it's a hard one for me to answer. So it's not hard at all. So the one thing that I think I've made the mistake of, and I think a few people make the mistake of, is going onto a platform like Twitter or Facebook and asking a question related to stream and expecting that people will answer it for you. And I know that they say that networking is the most important thing a streamer can do, and they're absolutely right. It's like growth is, is measured against how much networking you do. It's the game that we're in, I guess. But so I'd go on there and I'd ask something like, "Hey, where can I get an overlay?" And then I'd get 50,000 private messages saying, "Let's do this." But I think networking, it encapsulates a lot of things, and I think some people, like including myself at the time, believed that networking was going and putting a tweet out once a day and thinking, well, they're going to start coming in now. Whereas if I wanted something, I should have gone to a streamer, like to their stream, spoke to them, built a rapport directly with someone rather than asking an open question and expecting people would answer it. It's something that I I did quite a few times. And there are times when you will benefit slightly from it, but it pales in comparison to the benefit you get by going and talking to someone and building a personal relationship with them.
Yeah, definitely. I guess the whole follow for follow culture kind of tips on that as well.
Oh yeah.
Like I think we all kind of maybe made that mistake when we first started, because you're trying to get to 50 followers as quickly as possible to get to affiliate and get the requirements for that. So you probably do dabble in it a bit. I know I did. Like I'm not going to deny that, but
I must admit I did as well.
yeah.
And for exactly the same motivations that you did. I was like, I need 50 followers. What's an easy way? Let's jump on every Facebook group going and see if anything sticks. And afterward, I'll be honest, afterwards I felt dirty. Like I got my affiliate, but at what cost? It wasn't like a it wasn't a fair way to go about it. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, and the thing is, you can go and you can beg for follow, and I'm not criticizing any particular streamer by saying this, but you'll get some people that have got 3,000 followers and a 2.1 average.
Yeah.
It means nothing at the end of the day. Like I only barely got my 3 average on my 7th stream. Um, and I had the followers. So, you think, oh, I've got 50 followers. Well, that means I should get 50 viewers. And if you're doing follow for follow, that's just not going to work.
No.
I don't have 50 viewers now, you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
I think I'm doing over 300 followers now. And I have a comfortable average, probably around 10. And that's not to say that I've carried on pursuing follow for follow. I get people, from different time zones have different times, but I do see a nice variety now compared to the beginning when I got my 50 followers and it was still, my best friend who I've known for 15 years and a couple of other people that happened upon my stream. So yeah, follow for follow is bad. And
Yeah.
asking for something and expecting people to give it to you. Just go out and get it yourself.
Ugh,
Seize the day.
yeah. That's the thing. I think probably most new streamers probably need to kind of realize this. I think most do now, but if you do follow for follow, yeah, you'll get a number of viewers, but followers, I should say. But you're not necessarily going to get the viewers. You're not
Yeah.
maybe going to build up that sense of community. If that's what you want to build up, if you want to build up, a proper community where you've made loads of friends and stuff, and it's not the right way to go, because you're just going to end up with like dead viewers, like dead followers in your follow account. And I think that's, as I said, yeah, it's something I think every streamer does when they first start.
Yeah, I think to be fair, though, I think it's one of those things on a checklist for every single streamer is going to do that.
Yeah.
There is that immediate kind of, for lack of a term, desperation. Like I want to be validated. I want to, prove that I can do this by getting to affiliate. And you're right, every single streamer has made that mistake, but it's learning from those mistakes
Yeah.
that is the important thing, and it taught me a very valuable lesson.
Yeah. 100%. 100%. I mean, I'm very lucky that I kind of happened upon a community quite early on, which a lot of them are now in my community, and there's like a big group of us. So then, for example, Little Viking, Argo, a lot
Wonderful
of
bunch of people.
they are a wonderful bunch of people, and I'm very very fortunate to like happened upon that community kind of quite early on. Like in my like I did follow probably for I don't know, I want to say a week or two maybe, and then I happened upon this group, and they collectively got me to a kind of affiliate from that.
Mm.
So I get what you mean completely about
Yeah, I mean,
follow and all
I was
that.
very fortunate as well. When I not long after I started out, I met another group of people similar to how you did, and they were at the time known as Streamer Support Group, but they've since rebranded as Streamers University, and they were a wonderful bunch of people, and it was a great platform for people to build connections and grow together, and nothing was ever expected in return. Because I don't know about you, that I have had experience with a couple of groups where they're like, you must be here, you must be this, you must make sure we're on your auto host list and that you tune in every time. And it's it's not a thing, is it? It shouldn't be like that. So to get in with a wonderful group of people early on was, it was a blessing for me, as much as you said it was for you. And
Yeah,
it's building those long lasting connections without any expectation that I think is one of the greatest benefits you can have as a streamer.
yeah, 100%, 100%. Like I'm very fortunate that this kind of journey so far has given me like loads of friends, like people that I count as friends from all around the world, and I feel very fortunate to have that, and like that streaming and gaming has given me that. That's the biggest thing for me personally, and I imagine it is for a lot of people, like a lot of streamers. I think that's probably the biggest thing.
Yeah, myself included.
Mm.
Up until I started streaming, I had a very, very small group of friends, and now I have people I would, consider a friend, not an acquaintance, in places like Canada, Vietnam, Australia. It's like the key to another world when you step into the streaming world, and I'm forever grateful for the connections that I've made because of it. There are just some wonderful people I would never have, happened upon were it not for this. And I think it is, yeah, it's mind bending. It's this time a year ago, it was, everything was different,
Yeah.
but change is good in this instance.
Well said. Well said. Uh, so we'll move away from this kind of streaming side of things for now. I just wanted to talk about your graphic design background because, lovely viewers, this overlay you see right here is done by this man here. This man created this all. Could you tell the viewers about your background into graphic design and how you got into it and whatnot?
Oh, okay. So, should we start from the beginning?
Yeah, if you like.
When I was in high school, for our GCSEs, we had to select different subjects, and I selected graphics DT partly because I thought, oh, well, this will be easy. And I spent 2 years messing around and not doing any work. But that being said, so did the rest of the class. And it got to a day where all of our work was due, and the head of DT came in and said, right, you have till the end of the day, you need to finish all of the paperwork for your project and actually make it. And the project was, we had to build a stand for a film, or like you see in shops.
Yeah.
And so I was making one for a Resident Evil game I'd made up, and it looked absolutely terrible, but we needed to cut out pieces of foam board, and they were locked up, like the scalpels were locked away. And I was like, sir, can we have those scalpels then, please, if we need to get this done? We had 3 hours to do everything. And he went, yeah, sure. Half an hour went past, still nothing. I was like, sir, any chance you can get us the scalpels? And he was like, yeah, sure. And another half an hour went past, and at the point I was just like, no, this is it, I'm done. And the wood shop was right next door to our section, so I went in there and I got a hammer and I smashed the padlock off the door to get people the tools that they needed.
Oh my days.
And I got isolated for 2 weeks because of it. Didn't have to pay for the padlock though.
That's
which
good.
surprised me. But I got banned from my prom for it as well.
Oh
But at that point,
no.
I was seriously. At this point, I was like, no, I'm not doing graphics design ever again. Like,
Yeah.
one, I sucked at it. Two, it was a very bad experience. But I went to college, and when I got to college, I started studying film and TV. And one of the big aspects of studying for film and TV was graphic design. And I was like, oh, hello again. And so I learned the basics of Photoshop and absolutely loved playing with things like Photoshop and After Effects and that kind of stuff. And then I finished college, and as most film and TV graduates do, they never touch it ever again, and they go and find work. And so it had been absolutely years since I'd been near Photoshop, um, until late last year. So I'd been streaming for, I want to say, about 3 months. And I had, when I started out, I bought this like pre-made like pack of assets for your stream, which were great, but they used so much like resources from the CPU that it just, the laptop I was using at the time could not handle it. So I was like, right, I need something static. I need something that's gonna cope with the load. So I went on Twitter and I made the mistake of going, "Hi, does anyone know any graphic designers out there?" And I got about, yeah, about 50 direct messages about it. I opened the floodgates asking that question. And one, like, I was like, from all the people that were like messaging, a lot of them had price lists on their pages, and I went on and I looked at the price list and I thought, nope, that's out of my budget. Again, do it again, nope, out of my budget. And then I happened across this one guy, and I can't remember his name, but he said, I'm new to the realm of graphics design. I've just started messing around with Photoshop and After Effects. So if you want an overlay, get your order in now because it'll be dirt cheap. And I was like, this is the guy. This is the guy. He'll do me right. And I messaged him and I said, so how much are you charging for overlays? And he went, animated or static? And I said, well, let's start with animated. He went, well, I am just starting out, so it's going to be $250. And I,
What?
seriously, and I was like,
Jeez,
um,
man.
no, you say you're just starting out, do you? And he went, yeah, that's a really, really good price. Now, by this time, I'd already been on places like Fiverr, and the most expensive I think I'd seen for an overlay on Fiverr was about $150. So I was just absolutely gobsmacked. And then he went, well, if you want a static one, that'll be 130. And I was just like, no,
No.
that's quite all right. I will go off and I will get back into Photoshop and I will build an overlay. And I built one, and it was black and red, and it was very basic, but it did the job for me, you know. And then as time went on, like, a couple of people had commented on the overlay, and I was like, right, well, I need to get some alerts now that kind of match the theme. So I went back on Twitter and I was like, hi, does anyone do alerts? And someone messaged me saying, yes, I do, and I'm very, very cheap. They said, what are you looking for? And I gave them a rough idea, and they went, right, well, if you want animated alerts, a single alert will set you back $30. Now, as a streamer, you know that you need at least six. You need follow, subscription, cheer, host, raid, and tip. They're really the big six. You can
Yeah.
get like merch purchase and gifted subs and all that stuff, but there's really the big six to start off with. And I was like, so you want me to pay you $180 for six alerts? And they were like, yeah, it's a good deal. I went, I'm respectfully, it's completely out of my price range. And they went, well, what price were you expecting? And I said, well, I won't embarrass you with what I was expecting to pay for that. And I went, right, I don't have a massive amount of experience with After Effects compared to Photoshop, but let's have a go at this. And, you know, 3.5 hours of slaving away and pulling the little hair I've got left out, I managed to come up with my own alerts, and that I still use them today. Like, I'm very, very proud of them. And then it was a case of, you know, they would be on stream as well, and the odd person would go, oh, where do you get your alerts done? And I'd go, I made them. Like, not as a flex either, not like, oh yeah, I made these.
Yeah.
Like, and then a couple of people reached out and they said, like, would you be willing to do something for me? And I was like, well, yeah, why not? Sure. And then yourself as well reached out about your overlay, and I must be honest, I think of all the overlays I've done, I'm proudest of yours. I think just the colors work really, really well compared to other requests I've had. And the one thing that I do did very much appreciate about it was you gave me a lot of freedom to play with that. There wasn't like I'm happy to,
Mm.
do something if someone's got a specific like
Yeah.
request and they have a particular specification they want, but there's nothing better than like, having a little bit of freedom to try and make something nice, and I am especially proud of yours for that.
Oh, thank you. No, I'm as you know, I'm a massive fan of my neat overlays because I wanted to have go more personal. I was using prior to your work, I was using Streamlabs Prime.
Oh yeah.
And it was cool, but then I kind of realised um, it was I think a bit taxing on like my CPU because I had like animated overlays. They weren't like massively animated, but now having these like static overlays, I do definitely see the difference. I think I dropped frames a lot more, and I think that was probably what was causing my dropped frames previously. I'm not too sure. I'm kind of just clutching at straws a bit here, but I'm very very pleased with the job you've done. Like honestly, you did a
Oh, thank you
terrific
very
job.
much.
I love them. So with like doing all this for myself and other streamers, what are your kind of plans going forward for it? Do you have any kind of plans, or are you just taking it as it comes?
For now, taking it as it comes, like I don't think I'm anywhere like legitimate enough to try and make like a go of design. There are some absolutely fantastic designers out there. There really are. That you could give us the same three ingredients and say make something, and yeah, there would just be a completely different plateau to the work that I do. Like I'm still, I'm very much designing training. You know what I mean? It was I mean, anytime someone asks me to do something, I always just say to them, thank you very much for like giving me the chance to have a go, because I know it's quite a lucrative world out there for graphic designers as well. So that always is something that I'm very grateful about. But yeah, I don't know. Like the one thing that I do want to try and focus on a bit more this year is animation, like the animation side of things. I mean, my biggest drawback in terms of graphic design is I cannot draw characters very well. So like emotes and things like that, I tend to struggle with, but it's something that I plan on, working on this year. Like after the experience I talked about with people on Twitter, I thought, right, well, how hard would it be to be a for lack of a better term, a self-sufficient streamer? Like,
Mm.
would I be able to make my own music? Would I be able to animate an introduction and an ending all independently without drawing on like templates from the internet? And so that's something that I'm very drawn towards
Mm.
doing. And it's just a case of like finding that free time, because it is a huge commitment to do things like that. And it's something I would gladly throw myself at, but it's just, I have work and other things as well,
No.
including streaming,
Yeah.
that because we've talked about it earlier. Networking, I think, is where streaming becomes the full-time job. I go on and I do like 2 hours, maybe three sometimes each night, and it's it's nothing compared to I'm going on other people's streams, or I'm in Discords, I'm chatting to people, I'm offering advice, I'm trying to pick people's spirits up when they're feeling a bit down, because I
Yeah.
think it's very important to share. Whenever someone feels down, let it out. And yeah, that is where it really becomes like a full-time thing. So once I'll say once things calm down, I don't know when they will, but if they do, I will like throw myself into like working on character animation, as well as animating overlays as well, and more alerts and things like that.
Nice. That sounds exciting. That sounds really exciting. Yeah, just to touch on what you said as well, like I definitely agree with you on the whole networking side of things. It does. With streaming, it's not just you set up the stream, you stream, and then that's kind of it. I found there is like a lot of other work to put in. Like if you want to, obviously, if you're not too fussed, if you just want it to do it for a bit of fun, you're not too fussed about where it goes, then fair enough. But I think for most people that I know, and for myself, it is like a lot of work of going into other people's streams and networking and chatting in discords, And for like myself, is running a Discord, and I'd say the same for you as well. There's quite a lot of work that sometimes goes into that, and then kind of all that jazz. So yeah, it definitely can be almost like a full-time job, I think, but it's a very fun full-time job.
Yes. Oh, yeah. It's absolutely rewarding. I
Oh
never
yeah,
feel like it's a slog
no,
networking with people, or it's, oh, I'm doing it because it has to be done. It's an incredibly rewarding thing to do.
oh
Um,
yeah, you
but
kind of
yeah, it's just one of those things. Like it takes up like a lot of time in addition to, a full-time job and the main event of streaming itself, which is why I'm somewhat limited in my free time to, pursue
yeah,
uh, graphic design further.
I get that, I get that. But I'm very excited to see what you learn going forward, particularly with animations. That sounds really exciting.
Oh, thank you very much.
All right, so we're going to chat a bit about gaming in general, as we're both obviously big gamers. We both like it, otherwise we wouldn't be on Twitch. But I kind of just wanted to talk about what's been the favorite console that you've owned, and kind of what consoles have you owned over the years. Like,
Oh,
what was your first console, for example?
my first console, blimey. They, from memory, they both occurred around the same time. The original Game Boy and the PlayStation One, but I think I may have got the Game Boy first. Um,
Nice.
yeah, it was. I mean, it's still an absolute legendary device, isn't it? And
Yeah.
um, I think over the years I developed like a huge love of portable gaming based on that. It's like my console of preference still is the Nintendo Switch because of the portability, and yeah, it's a wonderful device. In terms of like favorite, I'm not sure. I think it would be easier if I just like, as you say, like listed every console I've had.
Go for it.
Although we might be here sometime.
That's
Um,
completely cool.
so let's see. Game Boy, PlayStation, PlayStation 2, Game Boy Advance, Game Boy Advance SP.
I had one of them. Still got it.
They're amazing. I had the
Amazing.
one with the tribal tattoo on it, like because
Oh,
I
I've just got the
absolutely
plain
badass.
silver one. Still works perfectly fine.
Oh yeah, mine too. I still do get it out sometimes and just to reminisce and
Yeah, same
relive
here.
the glory days. Um, so Game Boy Advance SP, Nintendo DS, which I was such a nerd, I had it imported from America a month before it came out in the UK, and ended up paying a substantial amount more as a kid. And it was all of my
Wow.
paper round money at the time. Like I'd saved up my paper round money just to get this tool.
Nice.
Um, PlayStation Portable, PlayStation 3. I won an original Xbox in a magazine competition, but I got
Nice.
it just at the time the 360 came out. Um, Blimey, I feel like I've lost it. Where am I going? Where was I?
PlayStation 3.
PlayStation 3, original Xbox, Nintendo DS Lite, um,
Nice.
Xbox 360, Nintendo Wii, PlayStation Vita, Nintendo Wii U very briefly, which is a great console until they stopped releasing games for it, and I needed the money, so I had to get rid.
Pairs.
PS4, Xbox One, Xbox One S. I know this sounds like pure gluttony at this point, doesn't it? Nintendo Switch. I then got a second Switch while I was in Japan, because it was a limited edition. So
Ooh.
we gave the Nintendo Switch to my sister-in-law. So I haven't just got two lying around the house. I'm not that greedy. And then PlayStation 5, and now PC, I guess, as well.
Yeah, I guess that can count. What was limited about the Switch you got in Japan?
You want to see it?
I do. I'm very intrigued.
So a big thing that I'm a massive fan of is a game series called Dragon Quest. And
Yeah.
so for those who know Final Fantasy, Dragon Quest is another Square Enix game that doesn't get nearly enough love that it deserves on this side of the planet. It is absolutely huge in Japan. Like when I went there last year, 2019, I went. You have shops, like standard kind of corner shop, regular, mini market places, absolutely like decorated in Dragon Quest stuff. They have
Nice.
At the time I was there as well, they just released the newest game called Echoes of an Elusive Age, Dragon Quest 11 on Nintendo Switch. And so we went to like the Square Enix cafe and they served Dragon Quest themed food. And then
Nice.
they had their own like Dragon Quest restaurant out there as well that we went to. Yeah, it was just an absolute dream for me.
Yeah.
And so yeah, while we were there, they in Japan only they sold a limited edition variant of the Nintendo Switch, and I'll try and lift it up without smashing into my mic and deafening you. But it's so I don't know if you can see it.
Oh
Like it's
yeah.
got the sword from Dragon Quest on it and the shield. And if you look really closely at that shield, the shape of that shield is actually the Lumi shield that I use in all my like branding.
Yeah.
So, you know, I mean, Luminary itself is a reference to Dragon Quest 11. The main characters, he has two names, Hero because he's unnamed, but also Luminary. But so the console itself, like the Joy-Cons have the slimes from Dragon Quest on as well. And then on the
Nice.
back, you have like, I don't know if you'll be able to see it well in the light, but there's like loads of characters etched into
Oh
it.
yeah, we can see that. That's
And
awesome, dude.
while I was out there, I was like, yeah, I just have to get this. Like, I will
Right.
never get it again. And interestingly, now, like, I was looking on a website earlier today, just a geeky game website,
Yeah.
and it's like, it's stupid money. So I'm very, very glad that I got it while I was out there. Like, it's not going anywhere though. Like, I'm not going to be selling that on. That's my
No.
pride and joy.
No. Oh, that looks pretty cool. To be fair, I don't blame you for buying that. I guess it was only available in Japan as well, and not
Yeah,
elsewhere.
I think they did Japan and I think maybe Korea, but that may have been an import from Japan. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's absolutely stunning. I really just, I will just, it sounds so weeby, but I will just look at it sometimes, like just because it's so cool.
To be fair,
Like the
I do like
Dragon
my
Quest stuff I have is ridiculous, really.
To be fair, I do like my PS5 because I just sit here and I'm like, oh yeah, PS5 over there.
It is a gorgeous device, though, isn't it? Like
Yes, it is.
PS5, like absolutely great, really well designed.
Oh yeah, and I always harp on about it, but the DualSense controller is just game changing. It's
Yeah, it's one of those
nuts.
things that's so hard to describe, I think. And like I sat on stream, I was playing I think it was Miles Morales, and I was trying to describe to people how it felt when you use a web shooter and you can feel the small kind of tap as though, you know, something had shot out of that
Yeah,
that hand. But it's one of those things like I just yeah, it's impossible to tell people exactly what you're feeling because it's so different to anything
yeah,
controller wise you've ever felt before. Like it's an absolutely fantastic tool, and I think it will change the landscape of gaming. I know that Xbox have already filed a patent to do something similar in their controllers. Um, but yeah, it's really, really cool device to be fair.
yeah. Like when I was so I've just started Ghost of Tsushima, and even in that game, which is PS4, but I don't think they've had the PS5 update yet. I might be wrong. Don't know. But like when you have a bow and arrow with like when you're pulling back the arrow, you can almost like feel the tension on the trigger as if you were doing it in person.
Oh, okay.
It's that is very very cool. I don't think I'm ever gonna get over that that kind of
Did
thing.
did you try Astro's Playroom
No,
on
I kind of
PS5?
I kind of did. So some of you may know, like when I got my PS5, I had a really really sore neck. Like I pulled a muscle in the back of my neck really badly, and I had to take like an enforced break from streaming for a couple of weeks because I just couldn't really sit here and stream. And so I kind of the day I got it, I was just concentrating on trying to download games. And I played a bit of Astro's Playroom, but I was just feeling so like rubbish that I didn't, and I kind of regret it. I mean, I could go back and play it, but I think I probably should have done that, you know, first off,
Yeah.
really.
Definitely go back to it. Like, you know, obviously the important thing's your health. Like, don't get me wrong, but it's one of those things as the game goes further and further on. If you are impressed with what you felt playing Ghost of Tsushima, it like Astro's Playroom will just completely like change the game in terms. I hope that more games put that level of detail into that controller than You
Yeah.
know, I have played a few PS5 games since they've come out, and some do, and just some don't seem to bother. I suppose because it's quicker to port, but it would be
Yeah.
nice to see that come like into full use and become a staple of gaming. I think that's what Sony's trying to do. I think
Yeah.
they're like, this is the future. Let's embrace it now and have everyone else follow, so we can refine it. But
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see with like upcoming games how
mm,
that is developed by developers and in that way. It'll be very interesting to see. And I guess talking about this year and kind of coming up, what are there any kind of games you're looking forward to coming out at all?
oh, so Final Fantasy 16, I'm really looking forward to. But I don't think we're getting that this year, and I don't think we're getting it next year either. I think it's after what happened with Cyberpunk 2077 last
Mm,
year. I think the gaming industry is very much starting to take stock of rushing games because of the absolute damage it can do to a reputation.
yeah.
Now, Square Enix, to me, like, they have released more hits than misses, and the Final Fantasy VII remake last year was an absolutely solid game. Like, I don't, I never found it, never like experienced a single bug. I thought the gameplay was absolutely solid, and it was nice that they had taken that. I think it was 6 years since they announced it. To refine it and make it the best game it could be. So I don't think we're getting Final Fantasy 16 for a while.
Yeah.
But I know we are getting the newest expansion to Final Fantasy 14, Endwalker, I want to say. That got announced the other day. I'm looking forward to that. And I will probably get back to playing Final Fantasy 14 on stream when that comes out. But in terms of other games this year, I'm not really aware of many that are coming out. Like, I know that the Mass Effect remaster's coming out, and while I'll happily play that, it's one of those games that I would wait until it dropped in price. Like, it's not this is a day one for me, this is a day
Yeah.
one. Um, I will tell you one thing I am looking forward to though. So technically the game's already came out, but last year they released Yakuza Like a Dragon
Oh
on
yeah.
PlayStation 4 and Xbox. I know they already have a next gen version of it on the Xbox Series X, but they are releasing in March the PS5 update to it. And I've deliberately held off on playing the game until that update comes out, just so I can experience it at its
Yeah.
best. So I'm really, really psyched for that, to be fair.
Nice. Nice. That sounds good. Yeah, it's so much difficult as you touched on with the whole cyberpunk debacle. A lot of and the whole complications of COVID as well, and a lot of companies having to work from home, which was
Mm.
partly what happened in cyberpunk. Um, I think we will see a lot more companies now, not being so afraid to hold back and delay their games. Like I think I was reading, like for example, Hogwarts Legacy, which is what I was really looking forward to this year. Has already been postponed, I think, until next year, or maybe later this year. I think it's next year. The Prince of
That
Persia
does look
remake
good.
as well. That's also been put back. Ubisoft have put that back. And I think that won't be like it won't be the last games that will be postponed. So I guess it is difficult to kind of know what is definitely coming out this year, which is a shame. But yeah, those
Yeah,
sound good.
you do see things seeming to get delayed by the day now. But
Yeah.
I'm one of those people, like, after playing Cyberpunk and after being incredibly hyped for it, I am easily in the crowd of people that would say, well, I would have waited 2 more years for that to come out in a good state, because it had so, like, and it still has so much potential. And I was
Mm.
watching a review of the game when it came out. I think it was an IGN review, and they said, I am envious of the people that will play this in a year or two's time and then not be a single issue, because the current state that it's in has just, marred my opinion forever.
Yeah.
And I must admit, like, I feel exactly the same way. Like, it is a great game, and I'm not a first person shooter guy at all. So I was very, very surprised by how much I enjoyed it until it started crashing on me.
Oh
So
no.
I'm happy to wait for delayed games.
Yeah.
Shigeru Miyamoto said you can, release a rushed game and it will forever be bad, or you can delay a great game and it will forever be great. And I really think that you know, he said that it must have been like 20 years ago now, but it
Yeah.
still rings true more than ever.
Oh, definitely, definitely. Yeah, I'm sort of similar to you. I was so pumped for Cyberpunk, but I haven't actually played it since I got it because of all the issues. I've kind of just now. I'm waiting for them to release the new patches, which I think are meant to be soon, or supposedly, I don't know. Before I kind of start playing it, 'cause, yeah, I don't want my experience of it to be marred. And particularly, are you playing on the PS5? I'm guessing.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
yeah, I'm playing the PS4 version on the PS5,
and
and it
you're
has
getting
had a few
crashes on that.
updates. Yeah, I've been on
Wow.
stream twice with it, and it's not that the game like you know got to a place where it just stuck and I had to restart. It was a complete shutdown. Like I would get bounced out to the menu of my PlayStation saying,
Wow.
"Would you like to send a crash report?" And it's so weird because normally when a game crashes as well, it seems like you know it tends to pause, but like I was for instance, just walking down a road and no lag, no stoppage. It just died on me. And
Blimey.
then other instances like you were having characters walk through walls and into walls and getting stuck. And yeah, it was just as much as I did enjoy it, I'm more than happy to just leave it now until I see a review somewhere that says, yes, it finally works, and then I'll be in.
Yeah, I don't blame you. I don't blame you on that. I kind of would like to also know what are your favorite top three games of all time. I know that might be quite hard, but if possible.
Ooh, okay. So Dragon Quest 11 has to be my all-time favorite game, like without question. Like it's fairly recent as well. It came out in like the original version came out like 2016, but there is just something about it. Like it marries old style RPG combat mechanics. So you're still going through like the old style menus with gorgeous animation done by a fantastic studio, and all the character designs are by Akira Toriyama. For any Dragon Ball fans out there, he's the guy that did that. He also has done Blue Dragon, Doctor Slump, many other manga as well. So it looks fantastic, and the story is just absolutely captivating. It's a story of maturity whilst also touching on reflection and regret, and it's I don't know, I just felt very connected to it while I was playing it, which doesn't happen in a lot of games except my other two favorites probably, which number two would be Persona 4. Again, a fantastic story. Touches on some very difficult themes, and at the time that it did, because originally it came out in 2008, they were touching on certain things that in today's, you know, in the zeitgeist of our times right now would be considered like non-issues, but at the time it was very brave of them to try and deal with, you know, mature topics like that. And they did receive a lot of criticism for it, and I can see where people's criticisms come from, but I also think that they weren't doing it in a critical way, they were doing it in a reflective way. um and then the third game, oh, interesting. You might have to give me a minute on this. So, I
That's
mean,
okay.
like, I look around my office and I see just loads of Final Fantasy stuff. So I feel like it's got to be in the realm of that.
Yeah.
So, Final Fantasy X is absolutely captivating. It was my first introduction to a 3D JRPG. Like I played many on the Game Boy and
Mm.
that growing up, but it was like when the PlayStation 3 was revealed and the graphics were just of a completely different level to the PS2, and people were just awestruck and gobsmacked by it. It was very much that. Like I put the disc in, and within the first 20 minutes, I was like, right, well, this could possibly be one of the most gorgeous looking games I've ever played.
Mm.
Um, and you know, this is like 2002, 2001, but yeah, there again, like most Final Fantasy games touch on themes of maturity and going into a scenario without any prior knowledge, and their character studies. You know, you're
Mm.
studying that person from their inception into the game as a complete bumbling idiot, not having any clue what to do until they get to the end, and you're seeing this fully formed character that's made difficult decisions along the way, and you've traveled that adventure with them. And this is the thing, like all three of those that I've just mentioned are JRPGs, and I think that they don't get half as much, like nearly enough credit that they deserve, because you can go out and you can buy a game from a Western developer and they can be absolutely great, but they can have like a 3 hour, 4 hour campaign and focus mainly on multiplayer. And yeah, obviously, effort's been put into it. But then when you look at a JRPG, the character animation is sublime. The storytelling is epic. They're operatic almost. They are fully formed stories that focus on multiple threads and are character studies fundamentally. And this is part of the reason why I got into streaming, actually, to like circle back to a question you asked me an hour ago now. I want to like share my adoration of these, more obscure titles with people, because they deserve so much attention. They are absolutely phenomenal pieces of art, and that's been a big motivator for me throughout streaming. But yeah, so to sum up, number 1, Dragon Quest 11, number 2, Persona 4, and number 3, Final Fantasy 10.
Nice. Nice. I have to admit, I haven't played any of them, but I have heard lots of good stuff about kind of all of those titles, so I shall put them on my ever-growing backlog of games. It's an ongoing list. So yeah, we're reaching the end of the podcast now. I just wanted to ask you kind of one last question, if that's okay.
Okay.
What is your goal with streaming? Where would you ultimately like to end up on this journey? Would you like to, become partner, become full-time? What is your end game, essentially, with it all?
So, I don't think like there will ever be a time where I could go, you know what, I could do this permanently. It's something I'd like to do. Like, don't get me wrong, but I'll be honest with you. Like, 2 hours a stream. I don't know about you if you've had a similar experience, but they can be so high energy that afterwards you've pressed the stop streaming button and you feel like a drained battery. So my hat's off to people that do it full time, because it is such a immense like drain of your energy levels. And it's not a complaint at all. Like, I love it. I love going out there and being high energy and having fun and speaking to people. But full time is a commitment. It really is. And if were I tried to incorporate that with other commitments I've got, even if you took the full-time job aspect out of it, I think I would probably struggle if I'm completely candid about it. But in terms of goals, partner would be nice. It's one of those things that I'm not hell bent on getting, because I think I've seen a few people be, and I'm not throwing shade at anyone. I've seen how it can become a mad obsession, to the point where you could almost be whipping your audience into viewing you. And I just think that's completely the wrong way to go about it. Like, anything that I do in terms of my streaming, all I could ask for is that it be organic, and I have, a beautiful community to share my love of gaming with. And I'm very, very fortunate I've got the community I've got right now. Partner would be nice, because it would be a self-validation. I suppose that probably, and we're into the psychology part of the interview, it would go back to being, the short, chubby kid at school and never being, good enough to do what the sporty kids could do. It'd be that kind of like self-validation that I would need. But it's not a like, I need this, like, I'm going to do everything I can, I'm going to chuck whoever I need to under the bus. Like, no, I want to have fun. I want to grow organically and grow with the audience, because I think, streamers are entertainers, but a streamer is nothing without their audience. And like I say, I'm very, very grateful for mine, and I hope that we can add to it. But if not, like, I'm perfectly happy to hang with the people I've always been hanging with. I'm very, very humbled by everything. Like, the one thing I say to my audience is, anytime like someone, is kind enough to drop a bit, or if they subscribe or even follow, every person that's watching you as a streamer has a choice what to do with their time, and they're choosing to spend that time with you. Like, how could I not be like humbled by that? There are, I think, what is it, 1.6 million people streaming on Twitch. So yeah, it's absolutely astounding. Like I always thought if I did give it a go, like it would be a complete stab in the dark. I did not think I would get here 7 months later. I thought I'd maybe go for, 1 month, realize that no one's watching, confirm that to myself, and then leave. But I've built such, I've got connections with such a beautiful bunch of people, yourself included. And yeah, it would be wonderful one day to hit partner, but it is not a priority at all. It's just about enjoying the ride,
Yeah, very well said. And I'm very grateful to have known and met you as well, my friend. Very grateful. And yeah, we come to the end of the episode. Lumi, thank you so much for appearing on this podcast. It's very much appreciated. It's been lovely chatting with you. One more thing.
Thank you very much for having me.
Anytime. One more thing. Can you please tell our lovely audience where they can find you and when you're streaming and where you are most of the time?
Okay, you can find me at twitch.tv/luminary_SC. You can find me on Twitter at the same handle. I'm regularly on there, not asking for help anymore off everyone though. But yeah, it would be, if you do want to check out one of my streams sometime, it would be wonderful to welcome you in. We do community nights every Monday now as well. So if you're a Mario Kart player or a fan of Jackbox party games, you are most welcome. I love making new friends, so it would be a pleasure to welcome anyone in that wants to. But yeah, that's me. I mean, I'm around. You'll see me on other people's streams. I try to get to cams as much as possible as well, because it is quality entertainment.
Thank you.
But yeah, and all that's left to say really from me is thank you so much for having me. It's been an absolute honor to be on your show.
No, thank you for coming on, and please, guys, please go and check Lumi out. He's a fantastic streamer, and as you could tell, a wonderful human being as well, which is the most important thing here. So please do go check him out. I'll have all the links in the description. If all of Lumi's links, if you want to go and check him out. But for now, Lumi, thank you so much again, my friend. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
No problem. Yeah, if you've enjoyed this episode, please drop a like, please drop a comment, subscribe if you haven't already, and we'll be back in a couple of weeks with the next episode. But for now, take care, stay safe everyone, and I'll see you all soon. Bye.
Bye.